Hey everyone, this is Greg Washington, your episode of Guards Down, and I have with me Samantha Bryant. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. If you could please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Well, I'm an Army brat, so everywhere has been home for me. I moved to multiple places. I was born in Longview, Washington, and from there I traveled to Texas, all over the place growing up. So right now I'm kind of like 50-50 in between Washington and Texas, what I would call home. Um, I'm fourth generation going into the Army. And I decided that I wanted to carry on that legacy. Out of all of my siblings and cousins, I was the only one to do it, and I'm the baby. So, and they're still amazed that I even went in. They're like, how did you do it? You're the most unruly child. But, you find a place in your heart and you can push through anything.
Awesome.
Just have to go into it with a good mentality.
So I saw that you are 14 Tango,
Yes.
right? And shoot, you got to have like a 95 on your ASVAB score just to kind of get into that field. So
Yeah.
uh, tell us about your military career and being in that field.
Well, being a 14 Tango, for people who don't know, I work on missile launching stations. I'm an operator and maintainer of the whole entire missile launching station. So I control the maintenance of the truck to getting the missiles up and running so they can work properly for anything that's incoming and somebody can actually fire it with it working to its full function. My first duty station was in South Korea, and it was Suwon, which they like to call Shawshank because it was actually on an old Korean prison base. So I spent about almost 2 years there, and that was like the most inspiring time to be there because that was when we had conflict with North Korea. And that really got me hands-on, knowing my job in and out, like the ins and outs, through and through. From there, I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and that one was different because, of course, I wasn't stateside for when I first did for any of my military career before that. So I didn't know how stateside worked. But, I had really good people to take me under their wing and show me everything that I could learn and how to gain from it, not only in the military, but outside the military as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So how many years did you serve?
I served 3. I had to get out. There's family circumstances where I had to. It's either that or I'd take a huge chunk to myself, and I didn't want to take anything from myself when it came to my family because it would have been a huge loss for me if I would have stayed in.
Gotcha. Understood. Well, let's kind of get into it. One of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast interview is because I was scrolling through social media. I was on the Veterans Network, and I came across this amazing picture that you drew of Kobe Bryant and Gigi.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it just got me wondering, okay, well, different people go through and grieve different ways, and they find different outlets on, of course, how to express themselves and heal. And so that's what inspired me to reach out to you and want to do this interview. So can you tell us more about the event? I know the whole world knows about, of course, what happened with Kobe. And that's very unfortunate, for him and his daughter, and also the other 7 individuals that were part of it, that were part of the accident. But yeah, tell us about your drawing.
I do carry the last name Bryant, and growing up as a kid, having someone as big as Kobe Bryant and you shared it the same last name, you're just awestruck. It was just oh, so I have the same last name as him, and it just carries me with pride. So I'm sitting here I got to make sure I'm the big and the best. And I was an athlete too. I started running track and field at the age of 5 and didn't stop until I was about 18. So whenever it came to being in sports, I just wanted to excel and do my best at anything that I that I put my mind to. Um, I just take on challenges, and when I take on a challenge, it's the Mamba mentality that you would say. Before Mamba became a thing, he was just so inspirational how he pushed through and overcome, and he put his all into everything, not only just basketball, but into the community and other sports as well, which made me like him more, is because he wasn't just strictly basketball. He loved soccer. He loved all different kinds of sports, and that's what inspired me. So his passing kind of, hit home for me because I met him when I was a kid. And even though it was for like a little glimmer of a second, and I probably came to his waist, it was amazing interaction that I had. And to lose him is losing, like, a star out of the sky, a bright shining star out of the sky. Like, where do you go from there? So the way that I cope with it is, and how I cope with a lot of things, is through my art. And it helps me heal in some way and get over the tragedy or, the loss or the sadness. And I want it to represent Kobe and his daughter, being accepted to God's team. That's why they have heaven across their jerseys. And I was like, God welcomes you into your court. And I put many different sayings when I posted it, because now they're playing a bigger game, because they have impacted people so much in their life. Now they're impacting them more from their passing and giving people enlightenment of how to overcome sadness and how to overcome a loss. And that's the enlightenment that they're giving in their passing. So they're welcome to God's court, because now they're playing that game and helping people heal.
Got you. Let me ask you this. Have you been drawing? Well, have you used your drawings when you were like in the military, or when, you were transitioning? How has, I guess, drawing helped you to be able to cope with, with your grievance, or, any issues with PTSD that you might have?
What I actually put also on the veterans page, when I was younger and a teenager, that's when I really found art for me, and it started blooming, but I didn't feed it. I didn't feed it like I should have. I wish I did. Whenever I would become emotionally distressed, that's when I would pour whatever feeling I have into a drawing that would help reflect what I'm feeling, or just come up with some kind of piece where I feel like I can put that emotion in there. And it helps me like cleanse it out of my body. So when my mind's like clustered, it's 3:00 in the morning, I come down to my studio I have in my home, and I start drawing. When I was in the Army, a lot of people didn't even know I was drawing in the Army when I was in. It would just be some private thing I would do in a notebook or sketchbook. But after a long day, or I just got chewed out or had to push until like I was red in the face and I just needed to take out the frustration, I would go and draw. The reason why I do that is because when I was younger, I was destructive and would do destructive things. And I realized from that moment, I was like, I'm just going to put myself on the wrong path or end up, hurting myself. And I need to turn that anger or that frustration or that sadness into something constructive. And I didn't want it to just, be me like tinkering with things or doing a puzzle. I wanted to create something that reflected how I feel.
Yeah, that is amazing. So to be able to at least have that self-recognition, to know that, okay, I have all of this built up negative energy in me, even as, a child, and to say I need to find a healthy, positive way of being able to channel it and get it out. You found drawings. And so I see all the pictures behind you. You drew all of those?
Every single one of them.
Wow, you got Tupac, you got Nipsey, you got Panther.
Yeah, the Kobe one is right here. You got Bane. You have like Marvel, DC Universe, all over the place, and just keeps on going. I just do these like spur of the moment, and it's a big passion. It's a big passion, and I put pride into it. And reflecting on my own work is just like, I feel good. Like, the cleanse, like it's just like, then you can do like woo style moment. And yeah, it's just a lot of people appreciate them, but I kind of lowball myself as an artist because of course everyone is their harshest critic to themselves. And I pick apart what's wrong with it, and people ooh and ogle over it. And I'm just like, there's something. You see the nose right there? I messed that up. The eyelid don't look right.
How long does it normally take you to do a drawing?
2 to 3 hours, sometimes 45 minutes.
Okay.
The Kobe Bryant one took me 2 hours, but it was because I was juggling my 2 children and trying to get it done. Now, if I have no distractions, that probably would have took me an hour.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's amazing. So tell me this, and kind of getting more back along the military path. Was drawing something that you just picked up, or was it something that you had to learn? Did it help in place of, let's say, like going to therapy or talking with someone?
I would have to totally agree. It beats therapy by a long shot. As how I discovered it and who fed it and really got me into it were actually my grandparents, Cindy Sabalas and Sam Sabalas. My Sam Sabalas just passed away this last July suddenly from stage 4 lung cancer, and he was the man that fed my passion for art, and my grandma fed my passion to be a flower child, will I say. I was bullied, and I moved in with them because I had to get away from the toxic environment, and they showed me that's where I can feed it. And then whenever like I started hitting different hardships in my life, like my husband going on deployment, and there was a possibility when we both came up on deployment that all 3 of us got split apart. I just given birth to my first child, and I was having a hard time dealing with it, so I drew and I created things. And I don't just draw, like I make a crap ton of other things besides just that, but drawing is my go-to. It's very therapeutic for me, and I actually want to reach out and help people find their therapy if they're creative. There's like nothing like it whenever you find your niche that will help you relieve your stress. A lot of people find toxic things that help them relieve stress, but really it's just adding more toxic into their life. And I like to feed people's creativity. People will reach out to me, how do you do this? When did you start doing this? And I'll tell them what supplies I use and everything. And I was like, get into it and start doing your drawings, send them to me. And I'll tell you what I think. I'll even share it. And it helps feed other people's creativity. I have a buddy who just had a major surgery from getting blown up in Iraq. And he said that he loved my drawing and it inspired him to get back into it. And I was like, do it for your therapy. When you feel like you're down and out, do it. Like it helps cleanse. And I just picked up painting, by the way, 2 years ago. And those are my paintings.
No, that is amazing. The drawings are amazing. My condolences about, your grandpa losing him to cancer. I know that was probably a very
devastating
thing to deal with. And that kind of leads into complex grief, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding that you have this outlet, what
Mm-hmm.
are some things that you would tell the next person that may be going through?
Let it out. Don't keep it in. Don't bottle anything up. If you need to find an outlet, like if you need to open up, of course, the Veteran to Veterans page is a good outlet. If you need to just find somebody to talk to, don't capping it. I have realized will send you down a dark, very scary path. You'll be afraid of your own thoughts at certain points in time. And what I would pass on to the next person is just like, take a deep breath and try to process exactly what it is you're feeling and where the source of it is, and then attack the source. Focus on the source. You got to sit there and be like, look, you got to get out of me. If it's going to church, be like, I can't get you. Somebody pull this demon out of me. And if you have to break things, like, you can actually get things and take them apart, which is technically breaking, and then try putting them back together, and you'll find out that it's therapeutic. I did that with radios when I was a kid. So just find something that is constructive and not destructive. Find your source and find how you can feed that source into something that you would be proud of. Tinker. Start tinkering. Do something. Get a camera. Take pictures of your feet. Do something. Find what makes you, what would relieve you. If you don't feel like it's enough, then get involved into a group that will help you find outlets. There's through physical fitness, through anything, just don't bottle it. Don't feed the demon inside you. Those thoughts feed the demon inside you, and sooner or later he's going to want to come out, and it's going to be ugly.
No, that's powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things that that I wanted to get across to other folks is the fact that it should be okay to talk about our mental health, right? Everybody goes through traumatic experiences, and you're not alone, right? And so understanding that different cultures may grieve differently or deal with stress differently, I just kind of wanted to help shed some light on that. My whole thing has been, of course, I'm only one person, but I mean, if I can help one individual, I'll feel like, I've done something worthy. And so, for anyone out there, I'll tell them, it's a difference between just having someone to talk to and having someone that will jump in the hole with you, or, sit on the ground with you and just like be there to help you get back up. Right. And so, this, the Veterans Network, it's a couple of different ones that are out there, and the cause that we're pushing with Guards Down is to get awareness for PTSD and complex grief, right? So, if you would share with us, kind of like from your cultural standpoint or from, your home upbringing, what was it like when it came to dealing with, grief and stress and depression? Like, was it acceptable in the home to talk about it, or was it difficult? And kind of what would you tell the next person, right?
Yeah, in my household, when I was growing up through those stubborn, hard-headed teenage years, we had a massive family where there was like 10 people living in the house at the same time. My sisters feel like I got away with murder. With certain things, I can agree. Parenting kind of got lenient at a certain time. But then I was kind of the kid that fell in the cracks. From all my other siblings, I was cut from like a different kind of emotional cloth than them. And it's hard to express, it was hard to express myself because I didn't know how to, and I didn't know how my mother would take it, or my father would take it, or even my siblings. I dealt with a really bad spell of depression to where I told my mom I didn't think I was going to make it to the age of 20. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, my child is suicidal. And I went through a really dark period. And that's when she actually sent me to go live with my grandparents. And that's what helped me. But trying to deal with being potentially suicidal and having those really dark, scary thoughts, and then trying to open up. In my household, it was kind of a little bit of a taboo. My sisters would, help feed in the way that they can, but they were teenagers too. Like, we're all a year apart. So they were dealing with their own issues, and it just really felt like no one could confide in me because I was cut from a different emotional cloth than the rest of my family. And I felt like there was some type of misunderstanding. But now that we're older, I'm able to explain it, and they're more accepting of it. And I actually have my little brother to thank for that, because he has a form of autism. And me and him connect really well, and we understand each other really well because me and him come from the same cloth when it comes to emotions. Like, when we have highs, we have highs. When we have lows, we're real low. But trying to voice pain, especially being from a African American background, it's kind of like you have to put on your war face and, like, be strong, tough it up, don't let them see you cry. And that's the mentality that I don't like. And I just want to pass on to the next person. You find it don't have to be your family. If they feel like your family will react negatively, I mean, go ahead, give it a shot. Try to tell them what's going on. If they back up or distance themselves, then that's not who you're supposed to talk to. Don't get upset because they didn't take it the right way. There's somebody that's out there that will take it the right way and will help you mend what you are feeling. And there's always someone out there that's willing to listen to the level that you want them to listen.
I like that. That makes absolute sense, perfect sense. If you open up to someone and it's not received the way that you thought it would be, especially because we military, and of course you think about the unimaginable of suicide and those type of thoughts and things. Not everybody is equipped to handle it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just because you may get a negative or adverse, reaction to you opening up, doesn't mean that you're wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? It just means that, that's not the person you need to talk to. And so, find someone that you can. And there are a good number of professionals that are out there. And I would definitely encourage getting professional help over,
Doing peer-to-peer.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because what you don't want to do is, well, I mean, you just want to be able to speak with someone that has the training that knows the different, I guess you can say, flags that are out there when things start to get bad, so that you can actually get the proper help and encouragement that you need, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, there's always someone out there to listen to you the way that you need to be heard. Even every now and then, of course, the problems with the VA. Sometimes even the VA doesn't have the right people to talk to. And trying to find your doctor. If you feel like you want to see a professional, find the one that fits you, because not all of them vibe with you. And that's the issue. And then it's just like, sometimes you actually have to seek a civilian clinic, because sometimes the Army ones aren't good enough, the military ones aren't good enough, because they have to see so many patients in a short amount of time. So they kind of like rushy. Just tell me the key components of what's wrong and get out the door. We all had a doctor's visit that has went that way, or just trying to talk to somebody and you feel like you've been rushed. And just trying to find the proper outlets is so important. And recognizing the issue is the first step. And that's what I want people to know. If they feel like they don't have an issue and they're dealing with it the best way they can, but the moment that you sit there and think that I might have a problem, you recognize it. Now, that's your first step. Don't step back, go forward. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And then after you start making a plan, okay, when am I going to do it? And it's just like going from there. When you recognize you have an issue, start acting on it, because it's never too late to turn around. It's never too late to find your outlet. Professionally, peer-to-peer, going to church.
Yeah. No, that's right. And so to touch back on what we spoke on earlier, was
Mhm.
around cultural sensitive therapy, right? So
Mhm.
finding a therapist that can relate to you. So it's a term that, you know, of course, that's out there, or a type of treatment. So if your therapist or clinician or psychologist, if they look like you or been through some of the same experiences as you, the treatment outcomes of the therapy will be more effective, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, you know, keep that in mind for any listeners out there that, you know, if you are going to go out and seek help, um, make sure, you know, find someone that you can relate to and don't feel like you have to, you know, stick with that one provider, right?
Oh, you never have to stick to one. Don't be afraid to be picky. Like, this is you. When you want something, you want the best of the best. You ain't gonna settle. Like, if someone be like, "Oh, well, here's $500. I could have gave you 1,000, but here's 500," and you just gonna settle there? No, you're not. You're gonna go for the 1,000.
Correct.
So why would you do that when it comes to your mental health and just settle? Settling never really fixes the issue. It's like putting a band-aid on a dam. Find, you gotta find the best way to fit you. You are a puzzle piece and you have to find the match in one, because that's when the healing really begins. Like, you can't be like, oh, we're gonna try to fit a circle into a square and let's really just try to make this work. Might have to shave off some edges. Like, you don't modify yourself to the care. You can always be like, yeah, no. And go on to the next one. If you feel like that one's bad, you can keep on going down the whole entire line until you find your one. There's always one. Don't ever settle. And they'll be like, oh, it's going to be 3 weeks. And be like, I'm going to wait. And then they'll be like, okay, well, we actually find one that's open next week. Yeah, they're just trying to get you to settle.
Correct. No, that's absolutely correct. Okay, so to kind of start to just wrap this up, because I don't want to take too much more time.
Okay.
Last question. What do you think are some of the keys to having a good mental health?
There's a saying that I try to live by, and I hope that, people can take what they want from it. It's darkness, pain lasts a short amount of time, but feels like it's forever. Happiness lasts a long time, but feels like a blink of an eye. So the thing is that your pain your pain that you're going through, your happiness will be there longer than what the pain will be. So how to deal with it and how to decipher what I'm saying is just like, so you're depressed, you're sad. It feels like an eternity. It might just be 48 hours and you feel like it lasted a week. But then after that, something cheers you up, and the next thing you know, you're actually in a pretty good mood for the next 3 weeks, but something happens again and you feel like it was just yesterday you were in pain. So you have to sit there and know, once your pain ends, and it's only for a short amount of time, that there is a good amount of happiness to follow. And
I like
and
that.
and it's just like, I try telling people, darkness and pain never lasts forever. There's always someone that's gonna be able to make you crack a smile. And be able to feed your soul. And you have to be open to it. And that's what I want people to understand. Military, like spouses, everything. I mean, there is so many dark times. I have friends that committed suicide in the most horrible ways. And it's just like, if they had an open mind to be able to receive happiness, because it could be staring you right in your face and you're just sitting there in such a dark place that you don't even recognize it. Keep your mind open. Don't be shut off and depressed. Keep your head on a swivel.
There we go.
always be, and keep your heart on a swivel. You don't have to take everything into your heart, but you gotta listen. Keep your ears open, keep your mind open, and keep your heart available, because you never know, that few words will strike and it will feed your soul. And that darkness will end and your happiness will begin. It's life. There's trial and error, there's ups and downs, black and white. The sun sets and it rises. So it's just like, just take it as that. You're going to continue to go through pain, but don't fear it, because happiness will follow.
I appreciate it, Samantha, and those encouraging words. So,
I try.
guards down listeners out there, stay encouraged, stay engaged, and stay focused. And Samantha, thank you again. Do you want to give a shout out to anyone? Do you want to, I don't know if your art is, for sale, or if you do art classes, do you want to promote any of the things that you're doing?
Just a few. There is a organization that's called Find Your Inner Peace, and it's for PTSD, anyone that's suffering from any mental disorder, emotional disorder, anything of that sort. And they're amazing. You have to look them up. They do yoga, Zumba, like therapeutic things that get your body active. And I actually do the illustrations for that foundation, and it's nonprofit. My artwork that you see here up on the wall, Nipsey, Tupac, all of them. I do sell artwork. I usually sell my prints, and then after I had my drawing for a while, I'll put them up for a bid, because I just can't pick one person to sell to. I feel like that's rude. So I put them up for a bid, usually on my Facebook. I'm making a website. It's coming soon. But I put them up for auction, and it's fair. The highest bidder gets it. And the auction is 24 hours, so everybody actually has an opportunity to put in a bid. And then I take that money and I feed it back into my home life, or I'll like try to help out other people that are like in a tough spot. Like, I try to find different ways to use it. Of course, I have to restock my supplies. I'll try to find other ways to use it. I want to give a shout out to Cindy Sabalas and Sam Sabalas, and rest in heaven. My mother, Angelina. The two greatest men I got in my life is Russell Dizer and Michael Bryant. And my husband Connor, and my two kids, Avery and Caleb. These people are my world, and all my sisters and siblings and everybody out there that shares the same last name or somewhat related to me. They motivate me, and they keep me going, and they're like, don't stop. You gotta keep on using the gift that God gave you. And if anyone actually wants a custom piece, I take about 10 orders a week, and then I take a week off, and you can put you request for another one, but I'll let you know when you're next up in line to be able to have your order done. Be patient. I'm one person. Yeah, but if you need words of encouragement or need someone to talk to, and you're depressed, or you feel down and you need inspirational words, I am full of them. So go ahead and contact me, Just Who I Am, on Instagram, and of course you can find me at Samantha Bryant on Instagram, not Instagram, Facebook, and the Veterans to Veteran page. If you are on that page, you can find me. You'll find my drawing. You probably liked it. I thank you so much for this opportunity to be on your podcast and being able to voice my story and to share my thoughts and to hear your thoughts.
No, it's been a pleasure. All right. This is Greg signing off. Have a good one.
Thanks.